am Paul Lamar Hunter, and my company name is PLH LLC Public Relations.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, man, I got somebody who has even a better background than me. Man, I have Paul Lamar Hunter, and he's going to share with us the library of information. That's his home library, folks. That just shows you that knowledge is key. And he is the 19th child out of like 21 children. He's going to tell us how that's even possible, because I thought my grandmother was doing something with 13, but his mother has gone to another level. So, Paul, welcome to the show. How are you doing, brother?
Hey, I am doing great this morning. Just taking it one day at a time, and I am excited to be on your platform and share a positive story that will give men and women hope all around the world.
And we'll start off, tell us where that story began, and also to let the folks know, there is a book on Amazon and the links will be in the description, people. But how did it begin?
Well, it began in 1970. I was born October 16, 1970. My mother, she birthed 21 natural children by my dad. 17 living today, 63 grandchildren, and 87 great grandchildren. So my story is very compelling. It will invoke you to listen, also to cry, to laugh, and basically have fun. But it is a story of overcoming the odds. When your back is against a wall and you walk into a college institution, there's only one direction for a person like me to go, and that's up. And I am continuing in life to elevate and go to different levels. And I believe that, people right now might be struggling. They can also go to the next level. All they have to do is change their mindset from a negative to a positive.
Now, some folks will say, wait, that's a lot of children, but there's a two-parent household. Can you talk about some of those and just give them a taste, because they can go through the book and get the whole story, but how that is so challenging? Is it that you get lost in the mix of all the children? Is there, no more college money? You being the first graduate, maybe, all the college money was saved for you and you were hated by your peer, your siblings. Tell us, what is the challenge of having such a big family?
Well, the challenge is that my mom and dad had to work constantly to provide for us. So a lot of my older siblings had to forego their education. And today, I thank my older siblings. I am grateful for my older siblings, because some things they had to put on the back burner so that the younger ones to go to school, and the older ones had to stay home and clean up the house, made sure that food was on the table for us. They cooked, they did homework with us. They made sure that we were taking a bath every day. And there were times when they had to discipline us, because, being a little toddler, running around the house, not listening to your older siblings, and they had to discipline us. But I am grateful for all of my siblings, because they took a sacrifice. They really have. My mother and father did not have a lot of money, but one thing we did have was a lot of love for each other, and also the community had a lot of love for the Hunter family, because we were one of the biggest family in the city of Racine, Wisconsin. And so I'm grateful for the people. But in the Hunter family, there were a lot of debates, there were a lot of arguing, but my mother and father made sure that we were one. We were one unit in the household.
That's a beautiful thing. And I'd love to see the book. How do you even keep a household together like that? Because I challenge sometimes just with having two, and especially during this COVID time. Could you imagine all of you trying to go to school under one roof?
Yes, it was difficult because, like I stated, my mom and dad had to work and they had to provide. But the older sibling was there to hold our hands, to put us on the bus. When we got off from the school bus, they were right there to take us and guide us back home. So it was really difficult. I remember a time, my friend, when we didn't have any toys in our house for Christmas, but a knock at the door revealed unexpected gifts from unexpected people. There were a time when we didn't have any food, but people in the community knocked on the door, and if we didn't answer, they would leave the food right outside for us. And so, it was some good times, and also it was some bad times. But you know what? The bad times develop character in me, develop faith, develop love, joy, happiness, peace, patience. And I know how it is to be at the bottom. And that's the reason why I'm very fortunate today. And when I see people in need, I'm a giver, I'm a helper.
No, that's awesome. And so tell the folks, you went to school, you went to college, and you graduated. What was your focus, your degree on? And did that after graduation, miraculously allow you then to provide for your family and, and your whole family and build them up?
Well, I went to college at Upper Iowa University. And before I went to college, I was working at Chrysler Engine Plant, and that company had closed. And when that company had closed, I got into a program at the company before it closed where they will pay for my tuition, my books, everything. And so I decided to take advantage of that. And I attended Upper Iowa University. I started to study business administration. And in 2012, I made history in the Hunter family by becoming the first child out of 21 children to graduate from college with a bachelor's of science in business administration. And I give a lot of credit to my siblings, my mentors, my mother, my father, people that came into my life that was very instrumental in helping me to become a college graduate. So, this degree had really opened up doors for me because it had allowed me to be featured on Face the Truth, which is a syndicated talk show by Vivica A. Fox. And the executive producer of that show is Dr. Phil. Also, I was featured in Ebony Magazine twice. Now I'm getting ready to be featured in Essence Magazine in the next 6 months. So having a degree really has opened up doors. And so it allowed me to write my book, No Love, No Charity, The Success of the 19th Child. That book has been adapted into a screenplay. So the producers out in Hollywood, Las Vegas, California, they have it. So I am excited because I know that a movie deal is about to happen, and it will happen in 2021. And so it's really going to open up more doors for me to come out and share my story and be on a platform just like yours and just talk about my story and let people know that your circumstances are not bigger than your purpose.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, folks will say nowadays, a lot of folks, are regretting their college degree because they have a whole bunch of student loan debt. They might have taken 30,000, but now they owe 130,000. or they just went to expensive schools. It doesn't even have to be the interest. Your degree has worked out for you. What do you tell, young people coming up who are in high school and they kind of hear, well, you need a degree to get certain jobs, but you also hear people say, I have that degree and I don't have, a good job, and I might be working at Starbucks or something that, I didn't have to go to school for. What would you tell them?
I would tell them to do some soul searching if they do have a degree, because a degree is very helpful, but there are some very successful men and women out in society that only has a high school diploma, and they are multi millionaires. So college can work in your favor, and sometimes it doesn't work in your favor. And when it doesn't work in your favor, you have to do some soul searching. Maybe you are at the wrong company, or maybe you need to start your own business. I was never happy working for someone else. Now I'm happy working for myself because I'm able to do the things that I want to do. And so when people are out there struggling at a job, not making good money, they need to do some soul searching and find out what do they have to offer to the world, to somebody. So they have to provide a service. And that's what I do. I'm in the PR, public relations business. I provide a service for customers, for clients. And I have the connection as well. So I advise them is to do some soul searching and start their own business. There's nothing like starting your own business. It might be difficult for the first couple of months or a year, but once you get over it, you find your niche, and then you discovered, hey, this is where I'm supposed to be at. So never give up on your dreams. College, it's good to have that degree, but that degree does not define who you are as a person.
Amen and hello. That is so true. And you guys know, in Diversified Game, I love talking to fellow, public relations professionals. Some folks may also hear your story and say, well, that's easy to do if you have two parents or two loving parents who support you. But you have, written about how you and your mother always didn't have the best of relationship, and that she was kind of popular. Can you talk about, that popularity and fame that she had that kind of put a wedge while you guys were growing up?
Yeah, well, see, my mother came from Vicksburg, Mississippi, so she grew up in the South. She never had that opportunity to go to middle school or high school or college. So it was very difficult for my mom, especially in the South. She's seen her cousin get murdered. She's seen her other cousin get raped, and so that kind of cultivated her behavior toward society and toward people. My mother wasn't the best mom. She wasn't loving. So I learned in life that you cannot give what you don't have. So my mother, she wasn't perfect, but she was the perfect mom to birth 21 natural children. And she didn't know how to show love, but she made sure that we had a roof over our head, made sure that we had clothes, made sure that we had food. She did what she had to do in order for us to survive. So the wedge between my mother and it happened because she wasn't a loving person. So when you have children, I believe that you have to be loving toward your children. So when I began to have children and my other siblings began to have children, we made sure that generational curse had stopped there. And we are loving toward our children. We give our kids hugs, we kiss them on the cheek, we tell them all the time that we love them. My mother wasn't like that. My mother wasn't affectionate, didn't have any compassion. And I have to speak truth, but my mother did not want me to graduate from college. I remember a time when I had gave her some tickets to come to my graduation, and my mom did not show up. But I went after graduation. I drove 6 hours back home to Wisconsin, and I went to my mom's homeless shelter to have a conversation with her, and wanted to take a picture with my mom with my degree, but my mom refused to take a picture with me. So I ended up taking pictures with the men that were at my mom's homeless shelter. And I remember my mom telling me, she said, son, a child is not supposed to be successful in life until the parents are deceased. And so that really provoked me to really succeed in life. You know, like I stated earlier, you know, my mom was never perfect. You know, she had some she made some mistakes in her life, and I think a lot of that has to do with my mom upbringing, because her parents wasn't loving toward her, and she didn't want, you know, none of her kids to be successful. She just wanted her to be successful. She was involved in her homeless shelter. That was her baby. That was her number one priority, is her homeless shelter. But my mom wasn't perfect. She gave birth to 21 children, and we are here. And we don't blame our parents. We look at it as that, you know, parents are not perfect. You know, there's no book out there that say this is how you become a perfect parent. You know, I'm thankful that she gave life to us, but once she gave life to us, and I began to understand that I have to become a better person myself. I cannot use my mom's circumstances and say, this is the reason why I behave like this. This is the reason why I'm in trouble because of my mom. I don't use excuses whatsoever. You know, I'm a grown person, just like my siblings are adults now, and we realize that parents are not perfect, but you can make that perfect world for yourself.
Definitely. So was it the homeless shelter that made her popular and known?
Yes, it was the homeless shelter. She was the first African American woman in the state of Wisconsin to start the first homeless shelter in the state of Wisconsin. So she received so many accolades. She also received the Jefferson Award from the White House when Ronald Reagan was president. She received countless awards. Also, she was featured in Ebony magazine as well. And so she was also featured on Tavis Smiley radio show, Tom Joyner radio show. She's been in countless newspaper and magazine publications all around the world.
Wow. Okay. I mean, yeah, kudos to her and that. And so, you know, when you're talking about entrepreneurship, I want to switch the conversation and talk about why did you choose public relations, and how did you come up? Because a lot of folks ask me that question, and I was a journalist, you know, before. I've been a journalist since like middle school, getting the story, and so it just made sense when the magazines tanked back in the day. You're too young to remember when they all tanked, and everyone was like, well, what are we gonna do, because no one's paying, and it was like, I always liked what the publicist did when we were at junket, so I picked that. But how did you get into PR?
Well, I got into public relations right when my mom had published her book, Love and Charity, the life story of Louise Hunter in a homeless shelter. I began to work on my mom's book, and also network with news outlet, with newspaper publications and television stations. And I began to write press releases and disperse it out to different organizations and asking them to cover the story. And that's when I discovered I have a niche in PR, and people will respond. You know, mother of 21 children succeeds. You know, people will respond if you have a story that can catch the eye of the people. And so every time I sent out a press release, I made sure that the title was very attractive, where they can't say, oh no, I'm gonna pass this up. I made sure that the title was so attractive that they said, oh, wow, I have to look at this. And that's what happened when it came to Ebony Magazine, when it came to Tavis Malley, Ricky, to Tom Joyner show as well. And so and also the Roland Martin radio show as well. They really grab the story and say, I have to interview this woman. And so when I started to write my book, I decided to say, you know what, I'm gonna do the exact same thing. And so public relation is fun. It's a challenge, but it's hard work. Success doesn't happen overnight, but it's hard work, and I believe that I can accomplish anything. Just imagine, I come from the inner city, and I had that opportunity to see Dr. Phil. I had the opportunity to see Vivica Fox, and I took advantage of it. I was on the Vivica Fox talk show, Face the Truth. We talk, we had a great conversation. So it's interesting. So now I'm in the process of pitching my story right now to the Nick Cannon talk show as well, because they're getting ready to start production in March. And so his show kicks off in September of 2021. So I'm excited about that, speaking with the producer and having that conversation. And they are excited that my story is very cultivating to them, and they want to be a part of it and put the story in the spotlight so the world can see it.
Oh, awesome. I love that. I love that. And you know what I really love? Because PR, sometimes people have clients that they treat us like we're disposable. And really, it's when you can use it for yourself or your friends or, other businesses that you have, and you can level up because, you go up, you do this. It's all about relationships and how you make people feel. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to eat and retire and be like, okay, I got some coins. And unfortunately, I see a lot of people who do this. So I'm like, where's your money going? Or do you have enough money? Have you been able to charge enough money? Because as you know, clients will always say, it costs that much. Yes, it costs that much for PR. So how have you tackled pricing throughout the years?
Well, throughout the years, I'm always looking at my competitors. And that's the most important thing. You have to look at what your competitors are charging. And if they, for example, if they are charging like $5,500, you might want to charge $4,500 because you want his clients to come over to you. So you're not going to outprice yourself. And so you learn what are your competitors are doing. How can I get better in the pricing, and how can I get them to come to me? And the way I find out a lot of my clients come to me is because they saw my story in Ebony Magazine. They saw my story on Face the Truth. They saw my interviews with Tavis Malley, with all of these celebrities. And so they want to get connected to them as well. They have a story, they have a product, and they want me to pitch their product or their story to these syndicated talk shows and also national newspaper and magazine publications. And they like what I do. And I let them know that nothing is guaranteed. Only thing that I can do is pitch it to them, and they make that decision. I don't make that decision.
So when you do that, and you say pricing with your competitors, somebody may say, because I've said it before on my show, and people know how much I cost. I say it's a premium product. You're coming to Saks. You're not going to Walmart. But in what range do they need to be for you to be able to work with you, and for how long?
Well, I like to work with clients for about 3 to 6 months. That's me. I like to work with them for 3 to 6 months, and usually, like I said, I usually charge about $4,500, and I send out I sent out a media blitz to, BET. I would send it out to the Black publications all around the world. And I also send it to the Washington Post. Some stories get picked up, some stories don't. It's what catch their attention and what are they looking for at that moment. Because, in the PR business, you have to understand that news are changing dramatically. You and I are doing this interview right now, but we don't know what's changing right at this moment until we get off and we say, oh man, never knew that was happening. But news are constantly changing, stories are constantly changing, but there are some good journalists out there that is looking for a good, real story. Even though we in a pandemic, and this is what people need, people really do need hope. They need to read positive story that will really lift them up in a time like this. So like I stated, 3 to 6 months, I usually charge $4,500, and I'm just out there pushing that story, pushing that product, trying to convince journalists, trying to convince syndicated talk show producers to profile this story. And like I stated, nothing is guaranteed. Only thing they can say is yes or no.
And the real thing is they're going to pay somebody. Yes. And folks might have, lower rates, but, some folks get confused with the pitch versus just sending an email, because the pitch is a follow-up. It's, sometimes it's having to fly out, prior to COVID. Some might be more bold. I can't do what we used to do all the time, but I can hire somebody to do it. But that's all in the price. And I love it. I love it. Now, most publicists have some type of software they love or, swear by. Are you a meltwater, Cision, or muck rack kind of guy?
I'm a muck rack kind of guy. I like to get out there and just, just do it. That's my mentality.
Gotcha. And with all the success that you have had in business, with your book, in PR, what is your community give back that you are doing or that you want to do in the future?
Well, my community give back is I'm always constantly going to the Boys and Girls Club. I like to go there and speak and share a positive story of success, because a lot of those kids are from the inner city. So I represent the inner city. I'm a product of the inner city. So I like to go there and inspire them. I was over in Hawaii 2 years ago, and I spoke to over 560 kids that showed up. And I talk about the mastering of success, and what they need is discipline. They need vision. They need commitment. They need a can-do attitude. So they love what I had said. And that's what I really like to do in the community. Another thing that I like to do, I like to coach basketball. So my children now are adults now, but I have one granddaughter. She's 2 years old. So in the next couple of years, I will return back to coaching, and I will be coaching my granddaughter in basketball and other sports as well, because I miss it a lot. But I enjoy speaking to young men and women in the inner city, because they need hope. They need some positive words of encouragement. And I let them know that I've been through some tough times in my life. And I always share the story that I remember that we didn't have any bowls in the house for cereal. And my mom had grabbed a pot, put some milk in there, put some cereal in there. And my 3 sisters and myself at that time, we ate cereal out of that pot. And I remember we making a pact that when we get older, that we were going to have successful careers, and we were going to have the best of the best. So, no more eating out of the pot, having cereal. So now if I want cereal, I can, go and get it and enjoy it. But I always share that story with young people, because I want them to know that, never let your circumstances dictate your future.
Definitely. And people will say, man, I had to do that too. But I have to say, because I don't know if I know I don't have 21 bowls. So and I could only imagine trying to buy them. And you know how kids do, they'd have to all be plastic because kids are gonna break something and it's like you ain't eating. So no, that's a beautiful thing, and I can't wait to see your book turned into a movie, man. In Jesus Christ's name, let that happen, because that will inspire others to come and write their story, which I think everybody should at least have one book out. Are you in plans to write another one?
Yes, I'm in plan right now to write another one. I completed another manuscript, and I wanted to come out on Valentine's Day, but I'm gonna have to wait until 2022 for that book to come out on Valentine's Day. It's a relationship book, so that's going to be exciting. I love the title. I love the work that I have put in, and I appreciate the people that helped me on this project. So this book is going to be a dandy. It's going to take people by surprise. I can tell you that.
Now, I believe you have 4 kids, and are you still married?
No, I am single. I am single and single and focused. I can say that.
Oh, okay. No, that's a good thing for the focus. So, so it'll be a relationship book for the singles then.
No, it's going to be a relationship book, not only for the single, but also for married men and the women.
Okay, this is gonna be interesting. This will be interesting. So we'll have to, talk about that when that comes out, and what the reaction was, because there's a lot of influencers, who are single, who are going viral every night. Thousands of people watching a particular influencer I'm thinking about. He almost broke the internet a few weeks ago, and people are like, how can you talk about this? But everybody has a story, and
Yes.
it may relate with someone. So that's how someone can talk about it. And you don't have to have a PhD in love, if that's even something to write.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, so single and focus, you guys. I'm not going to give you a game overload. I want you to go check out the links in the description and check out Paul's stuff. Paul, do you also have a YouTube?
I have a YouTube. I have Instagram. I also have TikTok. You can go to Paul Lamar Hunter. I'm on TikTok as well, and you can look at my crazy videos.
All right, you guys. So he's on all the social media except OnlyFans, right? So he's just not on that. He's keeping it conservative and focused. So you guys make sure you like, share, subscribe. You have been blessed with the game. Paul, I thank you for coming on, brother.
Hey, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.